Every year, thousands of men die from preventable diseases. Heart attacks strike without warning. Cancers reach advanced stages before detection. Mental health crises escalate into tragedies. The common thread? Many of these men hadn't seen a doctor in years. The statistics paint a sobering picture. Men are 24% less likely than women to have visited a doctor in the past year. They're 33% less likely to have a regular doctor, and this avoidance comes at a steep price. Men die nearly 5 years younger than women on average in the United States, and much of this gap is preventable. The silent epidemic. James was 52 when he finally went to the emergency room with chest pain. A successful contractor, father of 3, he'd been ignoring the warning signs for months. The tightness in his chest during physical exertion, the occasional shortness of breath, the nagging fatigue. "I thought I was just getting older," he says. "I didn't want to waste anyone's time." His reluctance nearly killed him. James had severe coronary artery disease requiring immediate surgery. His cardiologist was blunt. If he'd come in 6 months earlier, lifestyle changes and medication might have been enough. Instead, he needed triple bypass surgery. James's story isn't unique. It's the norm. And it reveals a troubling paradox. Men are more likely to engage in risky behaviors, from smoking to excessive drinking to dangerous driving, yet simultaneously less likely to take the simple step of preventive health care. The masculinity trap. At the heart of men's healthcare avoidance lies a complex web of cultural conditioning. From childhood, many boys absorb messages about toughness and self-reliance. Man up. Walk it off. Don't be a baby. These aren't just throwaway phrases. They're instructions for suppressing vulnerability, including the vulnerability of illness. Research shows that men who strongly identify with traditional masculine norms are significantly less likely to seek medical care. There's an unspoken equation. Needing help equals weakness, and weakness threatens masculinity. Going to the doctor feels like admitting defeat, acknowledging that your body isn't invincible after all. Dr. Sarah Chen, a family physician who has studied gender differences in healthcare, explains it this way. Many men have been socialized to believe that their value comes from being strong, independent, and in control. Illness represents loss of control. Seeking help represents dependence. Both feel threatening to their identity. This cultural programming runs deep. Studies show that even when men do visit doctors, they're less likely to fully disclose symptoms or follow through with recommended treatments. They minimize pain, downplay concerns, and rush through appointments. The doctor's office becomes another arena where they must perform strength rather than a safe space to address vulnerability. The cost of silence. The consequences of this avoidance are staggering and measurable. Men have higher death rates for 14 of the 15 leading causes of death in the United States. They're more likely to die from heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, and suicide. Many of these deaths are preventable with early detection and treatment. Consider prostate cancer. When caught early, the 5-year survival rate is nearly 100%, yet many men avoid the screening conversations entirely, uncomfortable with the examination process or unwilling to confront the possibility of illness. By the time symptoms force them to seek care, the cancer may have metastasized, dropping survival rates dramatically. Or look at mental health. Men are 4 times more likely than women to die by suicide, yet far less likely to seek mental health treatment. Depression in men often goes undiagnosed because it manifests differently, more as anger, irritability, and risk-taking than sadness. Without seeking help, men suffer in silence until the pain becomes unbearable. Cardiovascular disease tells a similar story. Men develop heart disease a decade earlier than women on average, yet they're less likely to know their cholesterol levels, blood pressure, or family history. The first symptom they experience is often a massive heart attack. Half of men who die suddenly from coronary heart disease had no previous symptoms, or at least none they acknowledged or addressed. Diabetes, hypertension, obesity. The pattern repeats across conditions. Early intervention could prevent complications, but early intervention requires early detection, and early detection requires showing up. The systemic barriers. Cultural conditioning isn't the only culprit. The healthcare system itself creates barriers that disproportionately affect men. Most primary care offices operate during standard business hours, exactly when many men are at work. Taking time off feels difficult, especially in male-dominated industries where presenteeism, being physically present at work, regardless of productivity or well-being, remains a badge of honor. The economics matter too. Men are more likely to be uninsured or underinsured than women, particularly younger men who feel healthy and see insurance as an unnecessary expense. Even with insurance, co-pays, deductibles, and lost wages from taking time off work create financial deterrents. The healthcare environment itself can feel alienating. Medical settings have historically been designed with women in mind, who make up the majority of healthcare consumers. From the waiting room magazines to the communication styles of staff, subtle cues can make men feel like they're in unfamiliar territory. And unlike women, who often develop relationships with healthcare providers through reproductive health needs, many men have no established connection to the medical system. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, who runs a men's health clinic, notes another problem. Many primary care doctors haven't been trained to address the specific ways men present with health concerns, or to break through the stoicism and minimization that men often bring to appointments. We need better strategies for engaging men where they are. Breaking the cycle. The good news is that this doesn't have to be destiny. Across the country, innovative programs are successfully engaging men in their health through approaches that meet them where they are, both literally and psychologically. Some barbershops now offer blood pressure screenings and health education, recognizing that men already gather in these spaces and feel comfortable there. Workplace wellness programs that integrate health screenings into the workday remove the barrier of taking time off. Mobile health clinics bring services to construction sites, factories, and other male-dominated workplaces. Telehealth has made it easier for men to access care without the perceived inconvenience of office visits. The messaging matters too. Campaigns that reframe preventive care not as weakness, but as responsibility, to family, to team, to mission, resonate more effectively than fear-based approaches. Highlighting men's roles as fathers, partners, and providers can motivate action in ways that emphasizing personal risk does not. I finally went to the doctor when my daughter asked me to, says Marcus, a 45-year-old teacher. She said she needed me around for her wedding, for her kids someday. I realized my strength meant nothing if I wasn't there for the people who mattered most. This reframing is crucial. True strength includes taking care of yourself. Responsibility includes preventive care. Being a provider means being present, which requires being healthy. A call to action. For men reading this, your health is not a luxury or an inconvenience. It's the foundation upon which everything else you value rests. That career you're building, those people depending on you, those goals you're chasing, all of it requires that you're alive and well. Start simple. Schedule an annual physical. Know your numbers: blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, BMI. Ask about screening guidelines for your age and family history. Find a doctor you trust, even if it takes trying a few. And be honest during appointments. Your doctor cannot help if you minimize or hide symptoms. If the cultural programming tells you that seeking help is weak, recognize that message for what it is: outdated and dangerous. Real strength means facing reality, including the reality of your body's needs. Real courage means acknowledging vulnerability. For the healthcare system, we must do better at meeting men where they are. This means flexible scheduling, targeted outreach, male-friendly environments, and communication styles that acknowledge the barriers men face. It means training providers to recognize how men present with both physical and mental health issues. It means making prevention accessible, affordable, and normalized. For society, we need to change the narrative around men's health and masculinity. Boys and men need to hear that taking care of yourself is not only acceptable but essential, that seeking help is smart, not weak. That vulnerability is human, not deficient. The stakes, every statistic represents a real person, a father missing his daughter's graduation, a husband gone too soon, a friend who suffered unnecessarily, a potential that went unrealized. These aren't inevitable tragedies, they're preventable ones. The life you save by overcoming healthcare avoidance might be your own. And the ripple effects of that choice extend far beyond you. Children who grow up with healthy fathers are more likely to prioritize their own health. Partners don't face the devastating loss of a loved one to a preventable disease. Communities keep engaged, contributing members. James, the contractor who needed emergency bypass surgery, now keeps all his follow-up appointments and takes his medications religiously. I almost left my wife a widow and my kids without a father because I was too stubborn to see a doctor, he reflects. Now I tell every guy I know, an hour at the doctor's office is nothing compared to a lifetime your family loses without you. The question isn't whether you can afford to prioritize your health, it's whether you can afford not to. Because while avoiding the doctor might feel like saving time or preserving some notion of invincibility, it's actually courting disaster. And by the time that disaster arrives, it's often too late. Your life is worth that appointment. The people who love you certainly think so. Isn't it time you agreed?